Hello everybody, this is Marjorie. Look at me today. I think I look like the willow pattern. Remember the willow pattern? It's lovely, isn't it? A lovely one of my Shein tops, linked down below. Now, I've just had Fat Boy at the door. Oh my God. I mean, as you know, he's the bane of my life. Now, I was quite content, right? This morning I was having a lovely wee day and I was sitting having a cup of tea. I had a cup of tea and a wee bit of sultana cake, right? Oh, it was lovely. I was as happy as a Boy Scout eating a box of Maltesers, right? And it's all peaceful. I'm watching the telly and I'm having my sultana cake and my cup of tea. And bang, bang, bang on the front door. And it says, oh no. And you know that way, it's like when the phone rings and you got the premonition. It's a premonition. A Four Seasons, Jersey Boys. Premonition of who's on the phone, right? Well, he's got one of the knocks. You just ken it's him. You just ken it's him. So opens the door. Here he is. Hello, darling. I wonder if you could help me, darling, because I've got two things I want to speak to you about. And I says, oh, aye. I says, what's the first thing? He says, well, darling, I've got a soggy bottom. And I says, well, no wonder, it's absolutely pouring a rain. And you're standing there, you know, like a dafty. He says, I know, darling, it is very heavy. May I come in? I says, no, you may not. You may stand there, you stinking Sydney that you are. I mean, and he's wearing this yellow. He's wearing a yellow raincoat. I think it was actually a pawn show that he'd go when he was in Disneyland in Florida, right? So he's standing there all dressed in yellow. I'm like, honest to God, I thought the sun had landed. And it reminded me, right? Because one of my other pals, they went to New York with Fat Boy, right? This was years ago, right? And it was raining outside and he comes out his hotel and he's got his yellow jacket on, right? And the woman across the street, she shouted, taxi! Oh, she thought it was a taxi. How she thought it was a taxi? That's stupid, isn't it? Fat Boy in a coat and this woman thought it was a taxi. I'm surprised she didn't think he was a tipper truck. You know, one of the big tipper trucks in New York? Anyway, so I says to him, right, you've got a soggy bottom. He says, I was making a sponge cake, darling. I says, your oven's probably not been hot enough. That's probably what's been wrong. And he says, I thought this would be a piece of cake. And he's one of these, you know, he thinks he's good at everything. He thinks he can do everything and, you know, everything's a piece of cake because, you know, all these professionals, they just turn up and just whip it up, you know. Nothing to do with all the years of training and all the expertise and all the skills. No. Fat Boy's one of the generation that thinks he can do anything. So he's taken up to bacon. I mean, bacon, I wouldn't eat anything at your house. I mean, Malcolm never had a look in. Absolutely disgusting. He's got net curtains in the kitchen. I don't think they've been washed for about 25 years. I mean, you would need to crack them down off the window. They've been up that long. And his toilet. I mean, I didn't even want to think about his toilet. So, and he's always bringing me cakes. He's always bringing me a meringue. He's bringing me this or a pavlova. Or a chocolate thing, and I'm like, now it's alright, see if he brings me something and it's sealed, see if it's for the supermarket or the bakers and it's in a box and it's sealed, that's fine, but see when he says, I bought a gateau, darling, and I've halved it, I thought, you imagine the knife lying on the worktop, God knows where that's been, it's probably got fluff and bits of crisps and wee winky sausages sticking to it. That reminds me of a woman, actually. I'll tell you that story another day, right? One of my old bosses. Oh, she was a Clartano. Maybe she kens Fat Boy, actually. Anyway, I says, what are you making cakes for anyway? You're diabetic. You'll end up killing yourself. And then I thought, oh, maybe I should encourage him. Maybe I should get him to make all the recipes in his wee recipe book. I says, you're diabetic. You shouldn't be making cakes, but better still, you shouldn't be eating cakes. Have you got no common sense? And I find that with folk, innit? Some folk have got no common sense. And it's a wee bit like a deodorant. It's common sense, you know. The folk who need it never use it. Well, he certainly doesn't use it bouffing. You can, you know, you smell him coming before you actually see him. Anyway, so he's giving it loud, and I says, right, so that's, try your sponge again, but with a hot oven, follow the recipe, and don't think you can better than the recipe. It's been written for a reason. It's scientific. That has been written by a mathematician. The mathematician. No, the manifestation. You get what I mean? So, I says, what's your other thing? You said you had two things, right? So you've got your soggy bottom. What was the other thing you wanted to talk to me about? He says, oh yes, I wondered, darling, if you would like to taste my spotted dick. Boo!